One of us. One of us. One of
Great showing. You guys suck and you cheated.
Oh, we're recording? I didn't know we were recording.
It is the biggest transfer or free agent signing in the history of the United States in any sport.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to this week's edition of Ride the Pine. I am your host, Kenny Hutton, and I am here with Cameron May. What's up, Cam?
Yeah, what's going on? I guess everyone just is too busy. They don't think we're cool enough to hang out with anymore.
I know. God forbid Sean works with, financial numbers and regulatory bodies and has to work overtime. Jeez.
Is that why my Sox are doing so bad? Can't retire till
Probably.
78?
Yeah, well, there's other reasons for that. All right. Well, it's been a interesting weekend of sports. I'm sure Cameron is all ready to dive into the return of Randy Orton at Survivor Series War Games, and then the surprise appearance of CM Punk. Right? We're leaving you in charge.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing else more important right now. There's no sort of big deal going on in college football. There's definitely nothing to talk about in the NHL. Nothing potentially funny or right up our alley there. Yep. So, that would make a lot of sense. WWE had a big weekend.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, you can't shake a stick at the social media numbers. CM Punk is a draw. But into the real topic of the day. Final college football playoff rankings have come out. Cameron and I are going to run down, you want to say the top 10, and then
sure.
Then we'll talk the championship games, and we'll talk Mizzou Bowl projections. So, Cam, you want to give me the top 10?
Yeah, the best thing about stopping at the top 10 is the whiny bitches at Ole Miss aren't included. So that's just a big tip of the hat to all of us.
Absolutely love it.
Number one, we got Georgia. 2, Michigan, Washington after that, and then Florida State. Those are undefeated. Then we go to the 11-1s. We got Oregon, Ohio State, Texas, Alabama, and then our own Mizzou Tigers at 10-2, coming at number 9, rounding out the top 10, Penn State. What a time to be alive.
Just the Blue Bloods.
I mean, who would have saw Mizzou being in the top 10 at the end of the year coming at the start of this year?
I mean, if we look, if you want to, you can go back and talk about my win-loss record. I believe I had them at 9-3, but I guess I overranked Tennessee. I thought Tennessee was a toss-up game that I marked as a loss, and they boat raced Tennessee. So, really happy about the season. Couple other, Mizzou podcasts that I follow talked about eating crow. Hey, it's delicious. I am Brady Cook all the way. Bought in.
Is that the same podcast that likes to mention sour grapes by any chance?
It is indeed the Mazodcast. We'll use this to tag them in it, and maybe bring over Superfan Phil or Fart Guy or Jamerson from Branson. Yeah, get a couple loyal listeners.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of chalk the way you look at it. I mean, it just kind of goes by records for right now. There's not a ton of drama going on at the moment, besides between us and Ole Miss. But I mean, they do almost have a point, since they're not allowed to consider like a win versus a ranked team if they're ranked at the time but fall out of the rankings by the end of the season. Seems kind of messed up at the time. It's a huge game, but whatever.
Yeah, I understand their argument, but they would have had to jump essentially 2 teams, right? They would have had to jump Mizzou and Penn State, and I don't think you can make a case for either of them. And Gabe DeArmond, editor at Power Mizzou, pointed out, he goes, if this is the first and only ranking for the college football playoff, and Ole Miss is 9 and Missouri is 11, nobody bats an eye at that. They go, okay. But you start this process 4 weeks ago or whatever it is, and They've been at 9, and Ole Miss has been behind them. There's nothing Ole Miss did last week that would say that win was worthy of jumping 2 teams. The loss to Georgia was telling. And yeah, again, you should have beat up on Mississippi State, and you didn't. Missouri took care of business against Arkansas. So
Yeah, it's just an absolute shellacking. And I know the whole moral victory argument's already going to come out, but we played Georgia way better than them. So
we played Georgia way better than any other team in the country, and I will be fascinated to see what happens this weekend in the SEC championship against Alabama. But since we are on the subject of Mizzou, before we jump into talking about the championship games of the Power Five, rumored Peach Bowl, Cotton Bowl, Fiesta Bowl. Cameron, in order, which one would you rather have?
I think I would rather have the Peach Bowl. Just being in Atlanta, being in that stadium, kind of staying to our SEC roots that obviously run back centuries. I think that would probably be a good spot for us.
So I think you're right. I like the idea of the Peach Bowl. I like the idea of playing Penn State as well. I don't want to be the team that plays the G5 and gets Tulane because I do think we would beat up Tulane and you don't gain anything out of that. What do you gain by beating Penn State? A lot. I don't like the Cotton Bowl necessarily because of the rumor is that it's the Cotton Bowl. It's Texas. Texas was a former conference rival, soon to be conference rival again. I don't see the point of it. I've heard an interesting rumor floated, and I am fascinated by this one, and I want to know what you think. Fiesta Bowl, your Missouri Tigers against the Ohio State.
I mean, on a personal level, that would be great for me. I have some misgivings against Ohio State from in my younger days. I would love to see it, and if we manage to knock off Ohio State, that is massive for the brand as a whole. But if we get embarrassed,
I think this is the year to play Ohio State, though. Their quarterback's not the greatest. You shut down Harrison. Theoretically, again, I give Power Mizzou a lot of credit for all this information. Gerard Hamilton was talking about how dominant the Missouri offensive line actually was this year, and nobody realized it. I would love to see what they could do against Ohio State, or let's say Washington loses this weekend, because I think they're going to.
So is Vegas.
Yeah. I think Peach Bowl's best for us. We've been recruiting the Southeast a whole lot better a decade into the conference, especially with Drinkowitz, than we ever did with Barry Odom or Pinkel. I'm leaning towards Peach Bowl against Penn State. So, all right, moving on. We've shoehorned enough Mizzou in. Let's talk conference championships this weekend. This is arguably the greatest weekend of college football. We're gonna start in the East, and we're just gonna work our way west, Cameron. All right. All right. So first on the docket, FSU against Louisville. Thoughts?
I got FSU on this one. Spread is only 2.5 to FSU. People are really, really down on them after their quarterback going out. Pretty gruesome leg injury. They still hung tight. They beat Florida last week. I guess that isn't saying much anymore. But I like FSU in that one. I think Louisville is kind of a pretender.
I agree. I believe the Cardinals are a pretender. I do think people are not giving Florida. Florida has the potential of being very, very good. Not 100% sold on Napier, so I think people are underselling or undervaluing that win, but I go with Florida State. So we both have picked Florida State. All right, staying in the Southeast, Alabama Number 8, Alabama against number 1, the Georgia Bulldogs.
You know what they do? Like to bark at little kids and just, in general, act like they're furries, get on leashes and things.
Yes, they like to bark at each other, and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of the game that really, to me, has the most potential to kind of throw things through a loop. If Alabama finds a way to win this game, I don't think they'll get in over Texas. Not to spoil anything, I think Texas is going to win their game. Texas wins their game. Alabama wins this one. Same record. Texas beat Alabama at Alabama by double digits early in the year. Could really kind of throw people into a tizzy if Alabama gets in over Texas. I do think it'll be a non-factor, though. I think Georgia's just going to continue to roll. Alabama did come back to life in the second half. I do think it's going to be a close game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think they'll manage to turn it into a rock fight somehow. But I got Georgia in that one.
So I'm going to actually agree with you except for this. I think Georgia wins in a blowout. And this is why, to kind of circle back to our previous point, why Mizzou in the Fiesta Bowl against Ohio State is still a possibility. Because if Georgia stomps their dicks into the ground, and the closest team to them has been Missouri, there's no way you can have a 2-loss Alabama above a 2-loss Missouri. So I'm picking Georgia in a blowout. All right, let's see here. I said east to west. So Ohio versus Michigan.
Iowa versus Michigan.
What did I say?
Ohio.
Oh, that's what I was hoping it was.
A state that we despise and don't recognize. Another reason.
Iowa versus Michigan. I thought you picked Iowa. I was like, holy shit, dude.
No.
You hit your head today? Number 2, Michigan against 18-ranked Iowa.
Yeah, I mean, famous for not scoring points. Kind of think that's going to continue here. Spread is Michigan by 23. I mean, what does that mean? That means they only have to score 26 points in this game to get to that. So I'm going to take Michigan to cover.
Fun fact, the 2 lowest over-under totals set by Vegas both happened this year. It was Iowa, and I forget who they actually played, and they set the line at 26.5, hit the under. Last week, Iowa versus Nebraska, over-under, 24.5. 23 points were scored. I don't know how that game stayed on in my house. Like, I honestly just don't.
It's like a train wreck. You can't look away, except for no matter what happens, the train just never actually wrecks. It gets stuck in gear right before you have to pull the lever to decide who to hit.
No, do you know what it actually felt like is
Edging?
In Austin Powers, in the first one, the International Man of Mystery, where he's on the rolling thing, and it's got the big, steel wheel on it, and the guy's yelling, "No, no!" And he's, and then they pan out, and he's like 100 feet away from him. He's like, "Just get out of the way." Like, that's how I felt watching that game.
Insert GIF of Austin Powers trying to do a 39-point turn, and that's about what happened. Get to midfield, kick it. Get to midfield, kick it. Get to midfield, kick it. I mean, it just, you talk about a Heisman. Maybe the punter for Iowa needs to be in the conversation. Pat McAfee,
first round draft pick,
can't stand up for 8 hours after hearing someone say that. If this podcast reaches him somehow,
you can tag him in the socials.
I can. You can also follow us at PodRideThePine on Twitter. We could love to interact with you guys.
There you go. All right. In the Midwest, but not. Texas versus Oklahoma State for the Big 12, the last Big 12 championship the Big 12 is no longer like the Big 12 that was founded in 1996. Like, it is a shadow of its former self. And I don't think the new teams they're adding in are going to help. I mean, Utah is going to help, but Utah is going to run that conference.
Utah's at least going to bring a lot of people. They got to travel big if they have to bring all 9 wives with them, and
Absolutely true.
The 37 kids they have living on the combine and all that.
I'm still so shocked at, though, a sidebar, that Utah didn't get an invite to the Big Ten. Like, was there just not another team that the Pac-12 had that was appealing? Or, like, I wonder what happened there.
Yeah, I don't understand anything about any of it anymore. I mean, we're doing cross-country flights. That high-speed rail would really be a game changer that gets brought up about every 3 years here in St. Louis to go to Kansas City of all places.
Yes.
At least take us to Chicago, but then you got to worry about your population declining because you keep going to Chicago.
All right, let's see here. We've got 19th ranked Oklahoma State taking on the number 7 ranked Texas Longhorns. Horns down, but I'm still picking Texas.
And they had Texas minus 15. I don't know. I think 15 is too much. I know they've been playing good lately. Texas still has kind of a penchant in my mind to, for lack of a better term, Mizzou things up. Just not to be all chalk here, give me Oklahoma State.
Now, are you taking Oklahoma? Are you taking Oklahoma State because you think Texas will not cover the 15? You said.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to cover. I think Texas will still win. I just don't think they're going to cover.
Okay.
I think Texas is the better team.
I didn't realize we were picking against the spread.
Okay. I just did just for STDs.
Okay. All right. In my opinion, the championship game of the week, the final Pac-12. Rest in peace. Conference of Champions. You're always going to be the champions in the sky. The Pac-12 dies with 2 Big Ten teams in its championship. The Washington Huskies, who are currently ranked number 3, take on the number 5 Oregon Ducks. Cameron, what you feeling?
Oregon is going to win this game. I think Washington has just kind of been, looking at their past results, they're just scraping by. They're staying undefeated. They're doing what they have to do. All of that, good teams win, great teams cover. They're not doing a lot of covering. I'm gonna take.
God damn it! I was literally going to say that line.
I'm gonna take Oregon to win this game.
What is the spread on this game? You said
Oregon minus 9.5.
I'd believe it. I think Oregon definitely wins outright. I could see them covering that spread. You're right. Washington has now just kind of I don't know if they're skating by, but they have not looked as sharp as they did at the beginning of the season. So I think they're set up great for the future to win, maybe be a Pac-10 or a Big Ten champion in the next 4 years, or whatever they're going to call themselves. But Oregon wins. Oregon thrusts themselves into the playoffs. And I hope, for Georgia's sake, I think Georgia would end up playing Oregon with a 1v4. And my God, everybody in the country watch that game?
You can count me in as tuned into that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, right now CBS has it predicted as Georgia versus Oregon and Michigan versus FSU is what they're seeing for the playoffs. Which both of those games are going to be watched. Those are entertaining games no matter what.
Absolutely. The only thing that's disappointing, will be those vacated wins from Michigan in about 5 to 7 years.
Yeah, I don't even think they're not even gonna get that many.
When Harbaugh's fired from the Bears. All right. Let's talk some hockey news. We're gonna call this the emergency healthy scratch section. I don't know if everybody's heard, But one Corey Perry was unconditionally released from the Chicago Blackhawks. Cam, fill in the audience if they've lived under a rock or don't have Twitter.
Yeah, I mean, anyone, we went through today, retweeted a whole bunch of the best retweets at PodRideThePine on Twitter. Allegedly, it doesn't even seem allegedly at this point, Corey Perry slept with Connor Bedard's mom on the mom strip for the team.
Bruh.
What timing?
I mean, just an all-time day to be on Twitter in the year of our Lord 2023. to get to witness everything that is going on with this. They said it had nothing to do with a teammate. So, of course, everyone's first assumption is he was placing some nasty 10-game NHL parlays.
I saw that. That was
good. There's only two ways it can go. Either you slept with the kid's mom, or you're betting against your team. That is the only way that this worked out this way. Man, and I'm sure now we're going to sound like assholes, and it's going to come out tomorrow morning that he is struggling with alcohol or something.
Oh, I don't care. He is a notorious asshole. From the sounds of it. So I mean, obviously we're having some fun with the rumors that he slept with Bedard's mom, but I mean, like some of the just retweets and comments. I mean, just great work. Tony X, St. Louis's own, just was on fire. Man, there was so much. But the one thing I will say this is, what's their GM's name?
No, I don't even know anymore.
The audacity to get up there and say this is disgusting behavior and we as an organization condemn it. Hey, hit that bra thing again.
Bruh.
You know what your organization did? You know what your organization did. You have no right to tell anybody how disgusting behavior is.
This is where they draw the line, Kenny. You can't. Oh. You could do a whole bunch of things, including potentially the R word to some of your own players, but you can't sleep with your teammate's mom. That's where we draw the line.
I mean, what I just find amazing is like obviously the backlash from that, and then there was another tweet that was going viral right before we jumped on. I saw it. Some girl accused the Blackhawks of a rookie was sleeping with her, cheating on his girlfriend, showed the receipts, and then the Blackhawks tried to like smear her. Like
they tried to revenge porn her.
Yeah, like what kind of organization is this? If this was a college football team, we'd give them the death penalty.
Unless it was in Kansas, then they would get a self-imposed.
And you know what the NHL did? The NHL handed the organization the best prospect since Connor McDavid.
And he already wants out. I don't know. It could have been a fake account. I could have got. But word on the Twitter streets, the X streets, is that he feels that the organization has disrespected him by letting this go on for so long with no comment that he wants out.
I mean, you're talking about an 18-year-old kid who's got to open up Twitter or like get asked legitimately, like, "Did your teammates sleep with your mom?" Like, and I don't know like Corey Perry's situation. I don't know Connor Bedard's mom's situation. Like, it is a huge accusation if either of them are still married.
I mean, I think. I mean, what's the best solution here? I believe someone brought it up in the group chat. Does Bedard get to sleep with Corey Perry's wife? Or does it have to be his mom?
Oh, that's a good question. I missed this question. I wish I would have come prepared for it. I feel like he's got to sleep with his mom, but I'm also not convinced Connor Bedard knows where to put it.
He spent too much time on the ice. He doesn't know what's going on anymore.
He's the kid. He was talking about like, I'm kind of into cooking, and they're like, what do you cook? I'm like, put pizza rolls in the oven. Like, dude, that's how are you going to survive?
That was probably the one thing that I've liked about Connor Bedard, because his response was just, I don't know, I thought that's just something you guys would want me to say.
Yes, chef. Yes, chef. I'm going to see Connor Bedard on the next season of The Bear, which is at this point the only redeeming thing about the city of Chicago.
Yeah, I mean, the show Shameless, I guess, was based on there, but I don't know if that's really considered redeeming. We actually managed to get an exclusive interview of Corey Perry on the whole situation. The quality may be a little bad, but let's give it a shot here.
Smoother than an artificial Christmas tree decorate.
All right, that's all we got. We had to cut him off due to time constraints and copyright infringement. But
that guy annoys me. All right. I was like, where is that from? And then I realized who it was. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, speaking of St. Louis tie-ins, the Cardinals are making some moves.
Yes.
We went out and got our ace. Apparently, everyone is not happy about it for some unknown reason. What are your thoughts there?
So I backed off the ledge because I was not happy. I had volunteered, and we have another group chat. I had volunteered to buy all the pitchforks at Home Depot and start the march on Busch Stadium.
You sure you don't want the tiki torches?
No. Pitchforks. I listened to McKernan, and he talked about how it was good value, and it actually doesn't hurt the team as you look at the future rosters. Like, he basically said at some point the Cardinals have to make the decision of whether they're playing for the now or playing for the future. And what do you want to risk, the now or the future? Well, kind of it's both upsides, right? Or it's two upsides. You get a really good pitcher and you get innings eaters. I'm not going to take credit for it. Another guy on Twitter was talking about the 3 signings they made. They gained 47 quality starts. I think quality starts are stupid. But when you look at it is. But when you look at it, you go, okay, innings pitched. Lance. So it was outside of Miles Michaelis, and they traded away Jordan Montgomery, so all of his stats might not have been for us. Not a single Cardinal pitcher outside of Michaelis pitched more than 120 innings. You had 180 with Lance Lynn. You had about 160 with Kyle Gibson, and then whatever Sonny Gray did.
Mizzou's own Kyle Gibson.
Yes, correct. Who was there while I was there. So think about how old that guy is.
Not to dox yourself, but you're old.
Yes. So as I've calmed down and kind of started to think about it, it's like, okay, they didn't risk the franchise in the future. They made a couple sound moves to shore it up. What I would really, truly like is them to trade Matz because he's got a great team-friendly contract. I still think you need a true ace. I don't know what Sonny Gray gives you anymore as being the ace. Because he has a proven track record of winning in cities that it doesn't matter and kind of floundering in cities where it does.
Yeah, I mean, I find it hard to think it's a bad thing to get the AL Cy Young runner-up last year. I get that he may not be, your tried and true number one that you want to go out and get, but I mean, there's really not. I mean, outside of Aaron Nola, like there wasn't a large surplus of them, and the deal is kind of team friendly, like you were saying. I mean, was it $25 million for 3 years?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and getting him, all that does is put Lynn and Gibson further down the rotation. It can put them more as like in the 3-4 spot. Now, if we go get another starting pitcher on top of that, they can go down to the 4-5, and all of a sudden you're talking about a rotation that's going to eat innings and keep you in games. And plus, Busch Stadium doesn't give up home runs, which is Lance Lynn's kind of big struggle last year. That helps.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to see us trade away. I don't know, partner in Matz and O'Neill to go out and get someone, or even if we're not getting someone back, if we trade them, clear up that cap space, we have room for Yamamoto.
I mean, obviously, with what was, and obviously this has been a very St. Louis heavy episode, but this is the biggest signing in baseball so far, right? Outside of Nola, who stayed put with the Phillies, there hasn't been a lot of movement yet. I'll be interested to see how this sets the market. And I honestly thought Yamamoto would have signed by now. So keeping an eye on that. I don't know exactly when are the winter meetings. Do you know off the top of your head?
I thought they were second week of December. I don't know if it's top of my head.
As far as the Cardinals go, yeah. I mean, I think if you get Gray and then, like you talked about, packaging an O'Neill and a Metz, and getting I'm going to butcher his name, Glasgow.
Yeah, Glasgow.
Somebody of that quality. Yeah, that is a completely different staff and something I think you could be relatively happy with.
Yeah, I mean, we still also have Dylan Carlson on the roster, who's just kind of in limbo with us. I feel like he still has value. The only thing I'm really kind of preaching here is let's not get rid of Gorman. I mean, I see his name being thrown out a lot. I'm surprised that people who have watched Rosarina and Garcia in the past couple of years would be like, hey, yeah, let's get rid of him, because that definitely won't turn him into an ALCS winner, MVP winner, or anything.
Yeah, go out there and win the World Series next year. Yeah, I wouldn't also be opposed to trading Tommy Edman. Carlson's got to do or die at some point. But I feel like you've got enough young talent in the outfield where you don't need to throw out like a Tommy Edman. You could theoretically lose him if the deal is right. So, yeah, I think baseball is about to heat up, and I'm here for it. So,
yeah, I mean, it's definitely been slow and quiet for now. I don't really have anything else on the MLB market. The only thing I really have left before we get out of here, the whole Corey Perry situation kind of sent me down a wormhole of other people who have squandered away money by doing something potentially ridiculous. I just got 4 quick ones here. Tell me if any of these tickle your fancy. We got Chad Kelly, who got cut from a team shortly after getting drunk at a party, walking into the wrong house, and being chased out of the home by the homeowner with a vacuum cleaner. That seems to be noteworthy. We have Lawrence Okuye, allegedly for parking in Bruce Arians' spot, which then was shown on Hard Knocks. That might be my personal favorite of all of them. I mean, that clip still circulates to this day. Wayne Rooney lost a deal with Coca-Cola for £600,000 a year for cheating on his pregnant wife. And my personal favorite is the Ryan Lochte debacle in Brazil during the Olympics, where he went out partying and decided to make up a whole story about him and 4 teammates getting jumped and robbed in Brazil, costing him an estimated $5 to $10 million in endorsements with Speedo. Just some all-time fumbling of the bag, as the kids say these days.
I mean, I like your list, but I feel like you're failing to recognize the biggest. Now, he's recovered. He has truly bounced back. Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
Playing the 19th hole a lot of times. I mean, he fell from grace.
Speaking of Tiger, I know how much you like to talk about golf. He's coming back this week at the Hero World Challenge. He also said in his presser today he wants to play once a month for the PGA season coming up. Is that do anything for you? Get you back on the PGA?
Oh yeah. What's funny is Adam texted me on the side today because we both watched Survivor Series and St. Louis's own Randy Orton came back. Well, Randy looks like a video game character right now. I don't know if anybody. Again, if you don't watch wrestling, that's fine. But Randy usually in about like 220, slender. Dude came back looking like he could have thrown a fucking ox over his shoulder. And Adam sends me a picture of Tiger Woods and goes, apparently him and Randy have been working out. Tiger has got the guns. I mean,
Tigers had the guns.
I know, but this was different. This was like, hey, bro, which way's the beach?
Well, he's single now. He's gotta get back in the gym.
Good for him.
After he dropped his girlfriend off at the airport, or had his security do it for him and said, "Don't come back."
Probably a little worried because Charlie's out driving him. So
Yeah. And also, he's going to be playing the PNC. Does that do anything for you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, Tiger Woods moves the needle for me. Tiger's Day in the PGA in St. Louis Sunday is arguably like one of the coolest sporting events I've
Were you
ever
there
been a
too?
part of. What?
You were there?
Oh yeah, we sat
Yeah,
on
I was
18
there.
all day.
Oh,
Yeah.
see, we did not. We wandered the course, followed Tiger for a little bit, and then was up by the grandstands on 18 for his putt.
Oh, Jimbo didn't want to move, so we were right where we had gotten a spot on 18 where the tee shots were landing, and so they were hitting their approach shots. So like Adam Scott literally walked by us, moved my chair, and said, "Excuse me, mates," and went towards his ball that he put into the to the gallery. So yeah.
God. Well, I feel like we might be kind of rambling a little bit here. Go ahead and follow us at Pod Ride the Pine on Twitter, at Pod_Ride the Pine on Instagram. We're on YouTube. Obviously, if you're watching this, you know that. For anyone who's listening on audio, go check out the YouTube page. Got a lot of shorts going out there. We're also on the talk, as the kids are saying, at RTP-Kenny. You can catch all of our shorts on there. We got kids, so we spend a lot of time at night sitting on our phone trying to decompress. So hit us up. Send us something you think is funny. Send us a question for the pod. We'll put it on our Wheel of Crazy or whatever we decide to call it next week.
Clark Griswold makes more sense in my mind now as a 37-year-old than he ever did as an 18-year-old. I get it. I totally get it. So, all right, everybody. This has been this week's edition of Ride the Pine. Cameron, you have a great night, and we'll talk to everybody again next week.